Look up at the sky for a second. It's blue. Obviously, you've known that since you were a kid pointing at it. But here's something strange. For thousands of years, almost nobody described the sky as blue. Not in their poems, not in their stories, not in their holy books. And it wasn't because their eyes were broken. It's because, in a way, they couldn't see it yet. Now stay with me. This isn't a story about eyesight. It's a story about words. It's about a strange idea that the words you carry decide what you're able to notice. The color blue has a birthday, and it's far more recent than you would ever guess. To find it, you have to go back to the oldest stories humans ever wrote down. Start with Homer, almost 3,000 years ago, the ancient Greek poet behind the Odyssey and the Iliad. These were the blockbuster stories of their world. Huge, detailed, full of color. And Homer loved to describe things. He described the sea over and over again, but he never once called it blue. He called it the wine-dark sea. Wine dark, the color of red wine. He called the sky bronze. He called honey green. He called sheep the color of wine too. Read it today, and it sounds like a fever dream. So what was going on with this guy? Fast forward to the 1800s. A British man named William Gladstone became obsessed with this question. He would later become Prime Minister of Britain. But first he was a Homer fanatic, and he decided to do something nobody had bothered to do. He counted. He went through Homer's epics and counted every single mention of color. Black showed up almost 200 times, white about 100. Red, fewer than 15. Yellow and green, just a handful. And blue? Blue showed up basically never. At first, Gladstone thought maybe the ancient Greeks were colorblind. But that idea fell apart fast, because it wasn't just the Greeks. A few years later, a scholar named Lazarus Geiger picked up the thread. He looked everywhere. Ancient Icelandic sagas, the old Hindu Vedas, early versions of the Hebrew Bible, the Quran. He was hunting for the color blue in all of them, and he found the same hole in every single one. The sky is mentioned thousands of times. It is never once called blue. Then Geiger noticed something even bigger. Across almost every ancient language, color words appear in the same order. First comes black and white, dark and light, then red, always red next, then yellow and green, and blue. Blue is always last, always. It's as if every culture, completely separately, discovered colors in the same sequence, and they all arrived at blue at the very end. Why would that happen? Here's the simple, strange answer. Blue almost doesn't exist in nature. Stop and really think about it. There are no blue animals you'd see every day. No blue food, no blue plants, not really. The few blue things in nature, like some bird feathers, are usually a trick of the light, not real color. So early humans had almost nothing blue to point at and name. The two big blue things they did have were the sky and the sea. And you can't hold the sky. You can't paint with it. The sea changes color all day long. Gray, green, dark, silver. So there was nothing solid to anchor the word to. You don't invent a word for a thing you can never touch and never use. The first people to get a real word for blue were the Egyptians. And that is not a coincidence. The Egyptians were also the first to make a blue dye. They figured out how to manufacture a blue pigment from scratch. Suddenly, blue was a thing in their hands, something they could own, trade and control. Once they could make it, they needed to name it. And once they named it, they could finally see it everywhere. That's the pattern over and over. First you can make the color, then you make the word, then somehow the color appears. Now here's the part that flips everything. You might be thinking, fine, they didn't have the word, but surely their eyes still saw blue. And yes, their eyes were exactly like yours. But it turns out the word does something to your seeing. Jump to today, to a study with a tribe called the Himba in Namibia. Their language has no separate word for blue. To them, blue and green are the same word, but they have many different words for shades of green that you and I would call identical. So researchers ran a test. They showed people a circle of squares. 11 of them green, one of them clearly blue. To you, that blue square jumps out instantly. You'd find it in a heartbeat. The Himba, they struggled. Some couldn't pick it out at all. The blue just melted into the green. Then the researchers flipped the test. A circle of green squares, and one of them a very slightly different green. To you, they all look the same. You'd be guessing. The Himba found the odd one immediately, because they had a word for that shade. And you don't. And it's not just faraway tribes. Take Russian. In Russian, there isn't one word for blue. There are two, a separate word for light blue and a different word for dark blue. To a Russian speaker, those aren't two shades of one color. They're two different colors, as different as pink and red feel to you. And researchers found that Russian speakers are genuinely faster at telling shades of blue apart than English speakers are. Same eyes, same light, faster sorting, just because their language hands them two boxes where yours hands them one. So let that land. It was never about the eyes. Your eyes and a Himba villager's eyes catch the exact same light. The difference is the word. A word is like a little box your brain builds. Once the box exists, your mind starts sorting the world into it. You notice the thing. It stands out. It becomes real to you. Without the box, the thing is still right in front of you. But your brain just lets it blur into everything else. Language doesn't only describe what you see, it sharpens it. It decides what gets to stand out. And this isn't ancient history. This is happening to you right now. Think about it. What are you not seeing today simply because you don't have the word for it yet? It happens with feelings. There are emotions you felt your whole life but never could describe. Then one day someone hands you the exact word and suddenly you recognize it everywhere. It happens with money. Most people can't see their own bad money habit until someone finally names it. And once it has a name, you can't unsee it. It happens with skills, with problems, with chances sitting right under your nose. The world is full of blue, things that are completely visible, hiding in plain sight. Just waiting for a word, so your brain will finally let you notice them. So look up at the sky one more time. It's blue. But now you know that blue had to be invented. Somebody had to make it. Somebody had to name it. And only then could everyone finally see it. The color was always there. People just weren't ready to look. And that makes you wonder. What's your next blue? What's sitting right in front of you? A whole sky full of it that you just don't have the word for yet?